It is a very vulnerable group of people, mind you.
It is a huge stake for me.
Yeah. Azhar Hussain is a Pakistani American whose mission takes him from home in Washington, D.C. to madrasas in the dangerous frontier between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
They don't allow students to read newspapers. They don't allow them to watch television. They don't allow them to listen to the radio. So everything else is a third, fourth hand, and everything else that they hear is from their teachers.
Many madrasas teach a version of Islam that's locked in the past. Students are rarely taught math or science. Some students had never even heard of Barack Obama, but they have been taught that America is the enemy.
Is the new president a friend of Pakistan or an enemy?
Enemy.
Azhar is on the forefront of the battle to modernize Pakistan's madrasas. He conducts secret workshops that offer the mullahs a more secular curriculum, and for those who sign up, a chance to upgrade their image from extremist to moderate by teaching them a more tolerant form of Islam.
We do go into some of those verses of Quran about jihad, and if you take a part of the verse, of course, it is very clear that what it says, but if you take the full verse, it does changes the meaning.
He gave our cameras exclusive access to one of his closed-door sessions with madrasa elders like Mullah Fazlur Rahman.
This air of hatred has been created by America.
He used to emphasize quite a bit to young students that they are under threat. So a very big part of his teaching was developing an identity in these young youth as fighters.
And now he teaches them what?
He says you should never fight. That should not be an option in your head as far as an Islamic leader.
A lot has changed. The limited thinking that we had has expanded and stretched.
The latest polls show the people of Pakistan have turned against the militant extremists and overwhelmingly support the government's full-scale war against the Taliban. Azhar says the demand for his workshops is now so high that he's received requests from 5,000 madrasas in Pakistan. But the local Taliban don't like what he's doing.
Have you had threats?
Yes, many. And our partners get threats all the time. If you go through these programs, then we'll harm you or kill you.
In this battle for young hearts and minds, Azhar faces another hurdle. The US has targeted Al-Qaeda and the Taliban with unmanned drone attacks, but that's also killing innocent civilians.
I was talking to a madrasa leader in Fatah who said, actually, your project was doing well. And we had a very hard time recruiting people to fight Americans. And after the drone attack, we have literally hundreds of fighters now.
Although most madrasas don't themselves provide military training, their students are easy targets for the recruiters, and Azhar has seen them in action.
These insurgents and come out in a prayer area, the students stand up and start screaming with excitement. It is just so organic when a teenage student is looking up to an insurgent. He wants to be like one.
Like this young Afghan militant who studied in a madrasa and now calls himself Mullah Abdullah.
I
became a Taliban after the infidels occupied our country. When your country is occupied by force, jihad is an obligation.
I think in some ways we have forfeited the terrain to the Al-Qaedas of the world, who are messaging to those young people in sharp and direct ways.
Ibu Patel, a Muslim who grew up in America feeling like an outsider, understands the path to extremism. He's now a White House advisor on Muslim youth.
It's not a question of them being ideologically attracted to the message of extremism. It's simply a question of that's where the jobs are, that's where the school is, that's where the free lunch program is. I think that one of the central issues of the 21st century is that we will rise or fall on them rising or falling.
Shakirullah is one who has fallen. His madrasa education landed him behind bars, where he's now facing at least 5 years for his attempted suicide bombing.